Good morning. We will start session 5 in chapter Atoms and Molecules and Structure of Atom. So as per yesterday's session, I told you all to draw the electron distribution for the various first 20 elements, that is right from hydrogen to calcium, right? Few randomly 8 elements I had shown you all what to do. I had also asked her to make a tabular column which consisted of starting right from the elements, symbol, atomic number, number of protons, neutrons, electrons, distribution of electrons, that is in K, L, M, N shell, right? Next, last two columns I had asked her to leave it empty, and that was nothing but valence electrons, last shell, and it was written as valence. So let me explain this to you now. Now, I explained what are valence electrons, but before that, valence electrons I have just written that as in the last shell. That means valence electrons are the electrons which are there in the last shell of an orbit. They are called as valence electrons, right? They represent the valence electron. Some will be in the K shell, L shell or N shell, depending upon the number of electrons. Now for example, in hydrogen, last shell, electronic configuration when we do, right? It's only one. So it's only one means last shell has only one. Helium, it has two, right? When I come to lithium, lithium atomic number is 3, right? So last shell, how many will come, children? 1 will come. Got my point? Whatever is your last shell. For example, here when you write in this table K, L, M, N, whichever is the last shell according to you, write it as valence electrons and last shell and list it. Okay, I have written hydrogen 1, helium 2, lithium 1, beryllium 2, boron 3, carbon 4, nitrogen 5, oxygen 6, fluorine 7, neon 8, sodium 1, magnesium 2, aluminium 3, silicon 4, phosphorus 5, sulfur 6, chlorine 7, argon 8, potassium 1 and calcium 2. These are the last shell. Now there is one more column called as valency. What are valency? Valency is something called as the combining capacity of an element. That's a definition. It's given in the book, right? Combining capacity of an element. That means something has to combine an element with another. That valency will define. Now what is this combining capacity? If you remember, I had told you there are some elements which have outermost shell filled with 8 electrons. They are very stable. Which are those? Neon and argon, whose last shell is already filled with 8 electrons, right? That means they need not want to combine with anybody else. They are filled, so those will not combine. But all these others are having some combining capacities. Now what do you mean by combining capacity? Tendency of an electron to donate or to receive. Remember we discussed that about ions. They are electrically positively charged or negatively charged, known as cations or anions respectively. We had discussed that, right? So tendency of these elements or tendency of these electrons to donate or to receive, that is something called as a combining capacity. Now why they have to receive and donate? Because now every element is unstable. When it takes part in the chemical reaction and when they combine together, they become a stable compound. For example, if I talk about sodium will combine with chlorine and gives us sodium chloride. How is this possible? I can't tell that neon will combine with chlorine and give me neon chloride. No, not possible at all. Why not possible? Because neon does not fit into this. In chemical reaction, it will not take part only. Why it will not take part? It is already filled, right? It is sufficiently filled. It is stable element. Only unstable elements will take part in chemical reaction because they can exchange ions among themselves. Elements which can exchange ions among themselves will only take part in the chemical reaction. For example, What is sodium's configuration? Where did sodium go? It's here. So sodium's configuration when we talk about here is, so sodium is 11, right? So it is 2, 8, 1. 8, 9, 10, 11. Chlorine's configuration will come up to 17. Where is chlorine? Chlorine is here. So chlorine's configuration will be 2, 8, 8 plus 2 is 10 and 7. Right? Now tell me, to combine this, either somebody has to donate electron or somebody has to receive electron, and it will form a structure only when it is stable. That means it has to form a octet structure. Now tell me, if I give 1 here, this will become 2, 8, 8 and this will become 8. Is it very easy to give 1, or if I give 7 here, 7 plus 1, it will be 8. Which is more easy, children? See, again, energy is utilized in that. So, giving 1 electron is very easy, or giving 7 electrons is very easy. Giving 1 electron is easy, right? So, what sodium will do? Sodium will donate an electron to chlorine. So, sodium will donate an electron, means sodium will become 2, 8, stable. Chlorine will become 288, stable. That is why sodium chloride is formed. And if you go to see, most of the metals, sodium is a metal, chlorine is a non-metal. We will again study this in the higher classes next year. Almost all the metals have tendency to donate electrons. Almost, when you check in this table here. All non-metals have tendency to receive electrons. So, sodium became electropositive and chlorine became electronegative. A chemical reaction can only happen between the exchange of ions. Sodium cannot react with magnesium. No exchange of ions will happen there, right? Sodium, magnesium, no, it cannot happen. That is an alloy, children. Again, steel, what we talk, that is different. This chemical, these are called as ionic bonds. You study the same thing next year in detail, right? But this, I have to make you understand what is this chemical reaction happening. So, sodium has a tendency to give electrons. How many? It can give 1. It can give 1 to chlorine. So, sodium is electropositive. Chlorine is electronegative. Why? Because it can receive more and more electrons. Right? Okay. Is this concept very much clear to you? Let's proceed further. So we understood about this. Now, valencies are nothing but it's the combining capacity of an element. That is, tendency of an element or tendency of these to give and receive electrons. Now let us see who can give electrons or who can take electrons. Always remember, I can donate 1 electron to make 8, but I can't take 7 electrons to make it 8, right? So minimal what can give and take, we have to see here. Okay. One more thing, children, I have to tell you. There are 2 types of structures. These are all higher order what you study in 10th standard actually, but here I have to make you understand that because to move further. One is octet structure. To make it stable, there are 2 ways to make an atom stable. Either it is an octet structure or either it is a duet structure. Duet is for 2. That means an element will see there whether it can fit into an octet structure. If not octet structure, it will go to a duet structure. Is there any element which will fit into a duet structure here where the last shell itself, it is 2 and it is completely filled? Yes. Helium. Helium has how many electrons? Totally it has only 2. So what will happen of helium is its valency will become 0 because that will come into a duet structure and helium is a noble gas. Now look at hydrogen here. Hydrogen has a tendency to actually, what you can say is here, give electrons. So hydrogen will pair with 1 more hydrogen and that will form a double bond actually. Duet structure what we say. This This is a much more advanced what you study again in the next chapter, carbon and its compound in standard 10 children. But remember, it can frame a duet or an octet. Don't break your head much in this. Duet structure is nowhere informed in your book as of now. Okay? Because its outermost orbit is completely filled. Last shell itself is 2. Now see here. Why last? Even you can tell me beryllium is also almost filled. No, beryllium is not filled because beryllium atomic number is 3 children. So when beryllium comes here, first shell 2 will come. Second shell, oh, I think I went wrong. Beryllium is 4, right? Beryllium is 4. So first shell 2 will come. Second shell here 2 will come. First shell can fill 2 electrons. Second shell can fill how many electrons? 8, but only 2 are there. That means it has still space to fill. That is the not case with helium. Helium, what has happened? First shell itself, it has filled its complete duet structure. That is why it is 0. Hydrogen, only one first shell. It can still fill one more. Understood the point? So here helium is one of the element which is stable element, what you can say, and that also comes under the noble gases. Okay. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've written for this 11. I'm just writing for my clarification. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. Okay. Let me write the valencies now. Hydrogen, I'll write here, it is 1 plus. It can give 1 electron. So when it is giving, it is plus children. If it is accepting, it is minus, because electrons are getting more, means minus will come. Now this is 0 anyhow. Lithium, it can of course give 1. Beryllium, see last shell when it is below 3 and below 3, these all can give only. Remember this, they can't take. So beryllium 2 plus, 3 plus. Yes. When it comes to carbon, carbon has a tendency of sharing electrons. It can neither donate nor it can accept. So carbon, when we talk about, it has 4. It is tetravalent. So carbon has a tendency of sharing electrons. Now what is this sharing? You learn that in carbon and its compounds chapter. So I will just write 4 here. So here nitrogen 5 are there. There comes here. So how many electrons it can give? You think it can give 5 is very easy, or receiving 3 is easy. Main thing you have to make 8. Giving 5 is easy, or receiving 3 is easy. Receiving 3 is easy to make it 8. So I will write here 3 minus oxygen 6. Giving 6 is easy, or receiving 2 is easy. Okay. Fluorine is 7. Giving 7 is easy, or receiving 1 is easy. Receiving 1. Neon 0, because neon is a inert gas, noble gas. Sodium 1. You saw, no? Sodium and chlorine. Sodium can give electrons. Write correctly children in order. Okay. Next. Magnesium. When I talk about magnesium can give 2. See, when it is 3 and below that, aram se write whatever is in that same thing. So this is 2 plus. Aluminium 3 plus. Again, silicon has a tendency of wherever 4 comes, they can actually share. Sharing, you will study that in chapter in 10th standard. So I only write 4 here. Phosphorus 3. In book they have written 3,5. Phosphorus is the only one, you can see sometimes sulfur also. Very rare cases. They have a tendency to either even give 3 or receive. I mean, it can also give 5 sometimes. But don't break your head much in that. Just write 3 and keep it aside. Sulfur. Sulfur, it can receive 2. Chlorine, it can receive 1, right? Sodium chloride, it received 1. Argon, potassium, it can give 1. Calcium, it can give 2. Is this very clear, children? Now this has to be remembered in writing chemical formulas. Now see, usually what happens is here, this chapter is not taught, the previous chapter is taught, that is atoms and molecules are done and ions are taught, and basically what it is told that remember the ion table. How you want to remember, it's up to you, and go with the chemical formulas. But I feel that knowing valencies, that is tendency to give and receive electrons, that is combined capacity, to know that it is much better than by hearting the ions and framing chemical formulas, right? This is very, very important to know. Now, any chemical formula given, you will be able to write. Now, you will understand why sodium chloride is NaCl and magnesium chloride is MgCl2, right? I'll explain that to you. This is very important. Now, these are for the, you can say, monoatomicity or monoatomic elements or something. If it is di and polyatomic elements like hydroxide, then if it is sulfate or it is carbonate, so it's a combination of 2 elements there together. For that, we have another structure, but that is much difficult or advanced level. What I would say here is that we only remember how to do. That table I'll give it off to you. That only table we will remember. But this table you have to remember. Now in exam they will ask you, what is the valency of magnesium? Now only valency is asked. How will you remember? Will you sit and draw that everything? That will take time, right? One trick I will tell you. Valency of magnesium is asked. You should know what is magnesium's atomic number. 12 is a number, right? Write it here. 12 is a number, so 288 rule you write. 2, 8, 8 plus 2 is 10. How much you want? So magnesium is 2882. Understood how I wrote it in shortcut here? So what is the last element? 2. So it is 2 plus. Aluminium. Now aluminium atomic number I know. Aluminium atomic number is 13. So aluminium will come as 2, 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. 283. Understood how to remember this? Without even drawing that structure also, you can also remember this orally, right? But you should know the atomic number for this. If you don't know the atomic number, children, then this you can't learn. I hope this is very clear and this concept is very clear. Please learn this thoroughly. Now I'll give you a small table where the di and polyatomic ions are mentioned. Yeah, one small correction, children. I had written 3 plus here actually, right? Where I told phosphorus, it is 5. That means it can actually receive 3 electrons to make it 8. Whenever it is receiving, it is minus. See, just see here, receiving, it is minus, negative. It is donating, donor, that is plus. Receiver is the acceptor. Receiver, another word what you can say is acceptor. Accepting means electrons are getting more, right? So it is negative. Donor is you are giving away the electrons. That is why you become more plus. That is what one thing you remember. Just do this small correction. I want you all to open the textbook, page number 37, right? Where polyatomic ions are given. Now see, for oxide, sulfide and all it's written. It's the same thing. Nitrite, it's the same thing. Where is nitrogen? Yes, we have already written that. It's the same. But how is it written as? Anything you write, N, it's written like this or minus as it is given in the book. See the last table, last column part here, page number 37. Ammonia. Ammonia is NH3 formula. Those polyatomic ions, I will not be explaining it to you. I want, because that's a separate method to do that. So that let's not break our head into this. This is most simplest. These are all monoatomic, what I can say. For polyatomic ions such as hydroxide, nitrate, hydrogen carbonate or sulfide, sulfate, phosphate, only these many what you have, I want you all to learn them. Rather, I don't want to use by heart them, but please learn them. I will not give this on the board again since it is already given. Just one or two I can just write. I'll erase this. Now you all know how to write. Correct? Okay. Just see, for example, ammonia is NH4. So it is not a combination of nitrogen and hydrogen, no, because they becomes gases, right? So we have a different rule there. Directly you can write for NH4 it is plus. For hydroxide is OH, it is always minus. So if you have only one plus and one minus, what does this mean? It can only give one. Then see here, HCO3, it is minus. CO3 is nothing but carbonate. We say sodium carbonate, right? Magnesium carbonate. All carbonates will come in the form of CO3. CO3 is given as 2 minus. Only if single is there, children, it means that only 1 plus or minus with respect. 2 is there means we can give 2, right? It can receive 2. Minus is there. Plus is there means it can give. So understood this pattern? So the polyatomic part, I want you all to write it down from the book. So the last one more part here, what we have to see here is, that is nothing but valencies we understood. Let us now understand the next part of that is about isotopes and isobars. Okay, this is the last concept of chapter structure of atom. So valencies we anyhow understood. The remaining two concepts here are isotopes and isobars. What are isotopes? Atoms of same element having same atomic number but different mass number. Look at here, look at the chlorine atoms here. They have same atomic number but their mass number is different. Hydrogen has 3 isotopes. Carbon has 3 isotopes. That is hydrogen, this is what we know, right? This is called as deuterium. This is called as tritium. Now, they are used separately. Now, for example, hydrogen is used as a liquid fuel in aircrafts and all like. Deuterium is used as a heavy water. Now, heavy water is not something the water which is heavy, children. Heavy water is something which is used in a nuclear reactor. Right? So that is heavy water. That is completely different from hydrogen. Tritium. Several uses it has. Then we have carbon isotopes. Carbon C612, carbon C613, carbon C614. Carbon C614 is a radioactive isotope. It is used in radioactivity, or we can say it is used in carbon dating. Carbon dating is something which is used to find archaeological things, age of those, much in advanced thing what we have. That means these isotopes have been, or these isotopes have their extensive use in certain field. So only what you have to know here is what is an isotope definition. Give some examples of isotopes. That's all. Where it is used, you need not study now. Later in higher classes, you will study that. Then we have isobars. Same thing. Atoms of same elements having same mass number but different atomic number. Like see here, calcium and argon, they share the same mass number but their atomic numbers are different. No uses. We don't have anything here because calcium only is used somewhere and argon only is used somewhere. Sodium and magnesium, they have different atomic numbers but their mass number is same. Such elements are called as, or such atoms are called as isobars. So here definitions are very important, children. Usually definitions along with the examples are asked. So there we complete the chapter structure of atom. We understood what is atom, atomic model, theories, assumption, conclusion, observation. Then we understood about Bohr-Waring scheme given by Niels Bohr. How is the electron distribution happening? With respect to that, we understood the electron distribution for first 20 elements. We understood what are valence electrons, that is in large shell how many electrons are present. Then we also understood about valencies, that is nothing but combining capacity of an element which can take part in the chemical reaction, and how it can take part either by exchanging, that is by exchanging of ions, giving or taking. That is, if it is giving, then it is electropositive. If it is taking, it is electronegative. We also understood about the valencies of these 20 elements. Apart from that, what I have told you in textbook page number 37, polyatomic ions, where you have to just learn them, those valencies like carbonate, sulfate, all those things, right? So our next thing what we have to do, the major thing is now making chemical formulas. How do we write a chemical formula? And that is done with the help of valencies. Now that we'll be doing it in our next session, and that comes in the chapter atoms and molecules.